Is it the fate of every esport to eventually fizzle out and be replaced by something else?
I think so.
Will there ever be a game that has this long-standing stature of one of these classic world sports?
I don't think it's ever going to happen, right? Like, there's too many games that follow trends. If you look at, the way PUBG works right now, right, and the huge swell of interest in PUBG and battle royale games, and you think, right, well, there's going to be an esports scene about this because it's even if it's a weird thing to make an esports game of, it's too popular not to, right?
Sure.
It was like Hearthstone. It's like Hearthstone's garbage for esports. It's like flipping a coin and then giving someone $100,000.
Yeah.
But so many people wanted to watch it anyway that they made a scene out of it.
Do you think games like that harm the overall goal of esports?
I don't think so. Like, I think you can watch anything competitively as long as you're having fun watching it and people having fun playing it, then it's totally fine.
Because when you think about esports, you think of like everything, right?
Yeah.
How do you get it to be taken more seriously?
I mean, I think it already is. Like, if you look at what's happening, like with Overwatch League, $20 million buy-in, and the people have actually bought into it from the NFL, from the NBA. Stuff just happened with League a few days ago where a bunch of popular teams got kicked out because they all agreed to do franchising for the LCS, which is the big League of Legends league. And there's guys from the NFL and the NBA buying in with millions and millions of dollars. They're taking this stuff seriously. And even if you've got a bunch of games that do that, like, it's almost, just like real sports. You've got your big sports, and then you've got stuff that maybe 100 people watch.
Yeah.
And they're still a sport, and some people still enjoy them. And, if 100 people watch StarCraft in 5 years, then 100 people watch StarCraft in 5 years. But they're still having fun with it.
Right.
You can make a competitive scene out of pretty much anything. You just got to have people passionate, Ask the older Age of Empires guys. They're still playing.
That's incredible.
Yeah, they're still playing. That stuff still happens. So I think it'll be around forever, but as to how viable it remains as an esport, it's going to depend on how long the money keeps flowing in. Once that stops, then it becomes an amateur sport because there's nothing to keep people playing full time.
So do you think that esports are headed generally in the right direction? And like, where would you see it in the next 10 years going? I
mean, it's frankly the way esports are going right now is scaring the shit out of me.
Why?
Like, especially with the LCS thing over the last few days.
Can you explain that?
So I've been out of the league scene for like a few years, so it's going to be a real layman's explanation. So people will no doubt point out that I'm wrong on a few things, but the basic level of it is that for LCS, they had a bunch of teams in there.
What is the LCS?
So the LCS is the main League of Legends league, right? I think League of Legends Championship Series, and they've got their big Worlds event, which is going on right now, which is their World Championships, where all the teams from the different regional LCS get together and America loses and Korea wins. But in the case of LCS, they agreed to do franchising, and a bunch of popular teams just lost their position in the league, and a bunch of guys just came in. And it was based on decisions other than how good they were. It was based on like how financially solvent the organization was. Like guys coming in from the NBA with big money. It was Riot. The game developers made that decision. So there's a team called Immortals that has a really, they were very successful. They were doing really well in the LCS. They were winning a lot of games. They just lost their position in the league because apparently they have put a ton of money into this new Overwatch League, which by all accounts is a $20 million buy-in. Like, it's massive. And Riot was concerned that the Immortals team is based out of LA. Riot is also based out of LA. And they have a lot of investments into Overwatch. And they're thinking, well, we don't know exactly why they weren't allowed into the league, but there might be concerns that they've spent too much money somewhere. Like, that's all venture capital.
They see them as like investing in a competitor?
They could. There's been some speculation about that because of their, like, in OWL, with a stupid name, Overwatch League, they're like the teams are not going to be named like Immortals. They're going to be named after the city they're based in and the franchise they bought, right? So this is the LA franchise.
Right.
So Riot's based in LA. They might be a bit uncomfortable about that, but they might also be uncomfortable about the idea that they've just spent a bunch of venture capital and they might not make it back. So they're thinking about the financial solvency of this team, and they're like, well, what if a team in our LCS goes insolvent? That's really shitty for the LCS. And if you look at that, it's like, this is big businessmen and big money taking over what was very much a grassroots thing.
Right.
And has been a grassroots thing really up until the last couple of years.
So,
it's scary.
Is that a good direction? Because if you look at the NFL, you look at baseball, you look at basketball, whatever, this is like, I was watching a news report or listening to something about like how Americans spend their money. I mean, sports is like the sports industry is huge. It's
Absolutely.
It's the enormous money, right? So in a way, it's natural and maybe good. I don't know.
It could very well be good. It's that money might bring stability. It's hopefully going to bring some mainstream recognition. It's going to bring facilities, stadiums. Hopefully, we'll also see a lot of the shady shit that's been happening in esports the last 10 years disappear as a result of pros coming in.
What kind of shady shit?
Like cheating.
I mean, I know there's.
Have you got 10 hours?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, what's like the spiciest to come to mind for people who are listening who don't know anything about esports? Like, I think it's interesting just to get in because everyone understands how sports work. But this is kind of different and weird.
So much. There's the small stuff like players not getting paid by their teams, all the way up to shit like there was a literal fake tournament. I think it was in Malaysia. It's called the PPSL.
And like
there were guys that flew out for this event and then got mugged and had their passports stolen.
What?
Yeah, there's some crazy
That's
shit.
That's spicy.
There's some crazy stuff going on that happened with StarCraft, that's happened with Counter-Strike and everything as well. And a lot of this is because these organizations are run by the scam artists, amateurs, There's been tons of StarCraft players that were brought onto teams that just, the guy just disappeared out of nowhere. I think... can't remember the name of the organization, but there was a guy who just vanished overnight. The player was asking, well, where's our money? Where's our money? He disappeared, and later it was rumored that he'd had a heart attack and died. But then there was a photo that appeared like a year later on Facebook of the guy. It appeared to be just living it up in Taiwan or something. It's nuts, because there's no regulation.
Right.
You can any old huckster can come in and do whatever the hell they like.
Interesting.
So it's a mess. So maybe this will help, but also... if you've got any ideas about growing a little, community-supported team, a grassroots team, that's going right out the window when stuff like Overwatch League is asking for $20 million to buy in. It's never going to happen anymore, is it? It's going to be guys that are already established.
I wonder if, I think, basketball and baseball in their infancy probably went through something probably very similar.
Yeah, and I imagine they also had their corruption scandals and all sorts of shit that happened there, too.
Yeah.
We'll see it. We'll definitely see it.
So what do you see as the greatest hurdles and challenges facing esports now?
I think it's going to come down now to, can you get enough viewership to actually finance the amount of money they're throwing at it?
Right.
Because they're seeing big growth in the future. They're seeing enough growth to get a venture capitalist to throw $20 million at a team.
Yeah.
They're seeing enough growth for an NBA owner to own a team, pay money. Question is, which game are they going to invest in? Because right now, they're throwing money at the Overwatch League.
Is that the big one right now?
That's the big one they think. Bear in mind, this hasn't even happened yet.
Right.
They've been over the past year trying to make this league happen, getting people to buy in, buy these franchises for different cities around the world because they believe that people are going to cheer for their home team, even in esports.
That's a really interesting idea.
Yeah, it is.
Of local franchises? That's pretty spicy.
But will it work? We don't know.
I don't know.
And is Overwatch even a game that people want to watch in large enough numbers to make that money back? I find it a really hard game to watch. I think it's messy.
I can't watch it.
It's too much color all over the place.
I can't watch it.
I felt the same way, even though I love Dota. I clocked 2,000 hours on it. I hated it as a spectator sport. It's too messy.
Yeah, it took me a while to really be able to watch Dota. I had the same problem with League earlier on with League. It was super colorful, but they're toned that down a bit,
I think one of the big challenges facing esports is do you make a game that's great to play and competitive and strategic, or do you make a game that's good to watch? And are those things sometimes
it's hard
conflict,
to do both.
Right?
Yeah. Sometimes it just takes a lot of work. I remember
tricky.
Remember when CS:GO first came out? It was garbage, both to play and to watch. Now it's so good to watch.
Yeah.
It's so crisp and clean. You can easily see. Anybody can see what's going on, even if you don't understand CS:GO. Guy caps 4 dudes in the head with a pistol.
It's great.
It's obviously impressive.
I think that's a great example.
That's me, because Ethan will play all these games, and I don't. So a lot of times I'll sit with him and I watch. Yeah. And I can tell you some games are really fun to watch, even if I don't understand the game.
It's important that the skill is apparent to a layman, right?
It has to be readily apparent. And that's what's going to make them big. That's what's going to make the money that these guys want, the kind of level of cash flow that they need.